Hey guys, in this lecture we're going to be covering the differences between typefaces and fonts. So we're going to be covering the technical definition of those words, and then I'm going to briefly talk about the circumstances you're going to want to use those technical definitions in. So to get started right away, at the top of the document I have written out the definition, or at the very least the easiest description of what a typeface and a font is. So the typeface is your family, and the fonts are all the individual members of that family. So you're going to see in the example I have open right now, the typeface is Helvetica, and then the fonts make up all the individual faces, if you will, that go into that typeface. So we have our light fonts, our bold fonts, our obliques, everything gets covered within that font realm, all your different variations of that typeface. So depending on your typeface choice, some of them are going to have a lot more font choices than others. For instance, I know Universe has probably close to 20 different font choices, where Helvetica obviously has 6. There are some that you're going to choose that are only going to have one font. It really just depends on the maker of that typeface and how much time they wanted to put into it. Um, So that really about covers the actual technical definition between what a typeface and a font is. Now, the circumstances you're going to want to use either of these technical definitions in varies greatly, honestly. And actually, this is a really heated topic right now in the design community of how seriously should we take these technical definitions of what a typeface is and what a font is, and how often can you actually rely on that knowledge being upheld correctly when you're talking with another designer or a client. So personally, I have laid out the ground rule that you're going to want to just discuss this openly with your client or your designer that you just started working with. When it's the first time you just began working with them and typefaces or fonts get brought up, just go ahead and ask, see how they view this definition. Do they take it really seriously? Or are they using the words interchangeably? Because that's typically how it seems to be handled nowadays in this generation. There was a time back in the 1500s when people used to walk around with giant crates full of quote unquote fonts that made up the individual typeface of what they had in that case. That was all fine and dandy to know the strict technical definition of what you're talking about. But in this day and age, you hear professionals that have been in the industry for a really long time using these words interchangeably, so really it's not that strict of a definition. With that said, though, it's always good to have something like this in your back pocket as a designer, to be able to pull out a technical definition like this, to be able to just sound more intelligent about your design decisions, and to be able to break down what exactly you were doing just that much more clearly. This does help in those circumstances. So, with that said, use these definitions to your best judgment. Don't take this information for granted. When someone says to change a font, go ahead and just double check exactly what they mean when they say something like that. And you should be just fine in the realm of typefaces and fonts from here on out. So with that said, the next lecture that we're going to be covering in the series, we're actually going to be diving into the various different tools that you're going to experience working with typography, specifically in the Adobe Creative Suite. Considering I'm a subscriber to that, those are the tools that are most commonly found in the industry, and I use them every day. So we're going to be covering those quite a bit. Um, until then, see you guys next time.